Back in the 90s and early 2000s, Japan built sedans that looked like commuter cars. But some could smoke a sports coupe at a red light. One of these humble rides, it once outran a Porsche with groceries in the trunk. Let's get into it. Number 12, Toyota Verosa VR25. You'd think we were winding down with this one. A sedan so strange looking, people used to confuse it with a Corolla that got dressed in the dark. But behind its awkward face was a street weapon few saw coming. The Toyota Verosa VR25 was meant to replace the Chaser, Cresta, and Mark II, three icons of understated muscle. Instead, it rolled in with an identity crisis. Too round for the tuners, too loud for the salarymen. But under that soft jelly bean shell, a monster waited. Under the hood, a 2.5-liter turbocharged 1JZ GTE inline 6, the same engine that made the Chaser Tourer 5 a backroad legend. It pushed out 276 horsepower and 278 pound-feet of torque. Routed to the rear wheels through a 5-speed manual or automatic, depending on how brave you were. Despite its portly shape, it could launch from 0 to 60 miles per hour in around 6.0 seconds. Not blistering, but fast enough to leave newer cars blinking in disbelief. So why didn't it take off? For one, that styling. The front end split car communities in two. Some called it bold, others just called it ugly. And while the chassis was solid, its weight and vague steering didn't scream track day material. But it wasn't built to win beauty contests. It was built to slip past attention and still throw down when it mattered. And as more of them disappear into scrap yards or private collections, the few that remain, they're being quietly rediscovered by people who know what it really is. And if you think this one's strange, wait till you see the next. It makes the Verosa look like a Ferrari. Number 11, Nissan Gloria Gran Turismo Ultima Y33. If you saw this parked outside a golf course or gently cruising down a Tokyo side street, you'd probably guess it was just another overfed luxury barge for a retired CEO. But blink, and this thing might just leave your sports sedan gasping for air. The Nissan Gloria Gran Turismo Ultima Y33 wore its intentions like a three-piece suit, classy, reserved, and absolutely misleading. At a glance, it looked more concerned with comfort than cornering, but tucked behind that wood-grain-trimmed interior and silent ride was a surprise that made it anything but forgettable. Underneath the hood sat the VQ30DET, a turbocharged 3.0-liter V6 that belted out 270 horsepower and 280 pound-feet of torque. That's the same engine lineage that would go on to power Nissan's 350Z and Infiniti G35. Only here, it was cloaked in silence and wrapped in leather. Paired with a smooth shifting automatic and rear-wheel drive, it could glide to 60 miles per hour in around 6.5 seconds, faster than almost anything else in its class at the time. But performance wasn't the only thing it hid well. Its suspension setup, while tuned for comfort, held firm enough to carve through highways with ease, and the steering, surprisingly direct, made it feel far more athletic than its sleepy appearance let on. Still, it had its flaws. It was heavy, over 3,700 pounds heavy. And while the turbo engine was a gem, the transmission could sometimes feel sluggish, robbing it of sharper response. But that was the genius. This car didn't try to be loud or proud. It lulled you into underestimating it until the boost kicked in. And coming up next is a sedan even fewer people have heard of. Its body says economy, but its engine tells a completely different story. Number 10, Honda Ascot Innova. It looked like it belonged in a university parking lot, unassuming, boxy, and polite to a fault. But this next one had a wild side hiding just beneath that buttoned-up exterior. Meet the Honda Ascot Innova, a car with zero aggressive lines, no flashy trim, and not even the faintest hint of speed. It came off as just another budget-friendly midsizer built for the daily grind. But here's where things start to twist. This wasn't your average front-wheel drive commuter. Unlike most Hondas of its time, the Ascot Innova used a longitudinally mounted engine, giving it better balance and weight distribution, traits usually reserved for performance sedans. But it's what Honda stuffed under the hood that makes this car so quietly savage. the H22A 2.2-liter DOHC VTEC engine. That's right, the same high-revving power plant used in the Prelude Syar. It cranked out 187 horsepower and 153 pound-feet of torque, which may not sound earth-shattering, but paired with a lightweight chassis and a slick 5-speed manual, it could hit 0 to 60 miles per hour in just under 7 seconds. And thanks to its VTEC system, it didn't really wake up until after 5,500 RPM, meaning the second half of the tach was where the magic happened. But here's the catch. The Innova didn't know what it wanted to be. It had sports sedan bones, but a conservative suit. It was too agile for the family crowd, too vanilla for the tuners, and never officially exported outside Japan. That awkward positioning meant most people never gave it a second glance, and Honda didn't give it much of a future either. Yet today, those who know, they're chasing it down, because it's one of the cleanest blends of stealth and VTEC fury ever built. And if this surprised you, the next one doesn't even use conventional tech. It bends the rules of combustion itself. Number 9, Mazda Millennia S, Mazda Zetos 9 in Japan. On the outside, it was pure executive calm, a sleek, chrome-touched sedan meant to ferry white-collar workers between meetings and dinner reservations. But underneath the hood, Mazda was quietly running an experiment no one saw coming. The Mazda Millennia S, sold in Japan as the Mazda Zetos 9, was supposed to be Mazda's answer to European luxury. But instead of mimicking BMW or Mercedes, they did something no one else dared. They built a Miller cycle engine. Wait, Miller cycle? Not turbo, not supercharged in the traditional sense. This 2.3-liter V6 used an unusual form of forced induction with a belt-driven supercharger and delayed intake valve timing, squeezing out 217 horsepower and 210 pound-feet of torque. It wasn't just clever, it was ahead of its time, delivering V6 power with fuel economy closer to a 4-cylinder. And here's what made it even more absurd. Despite all that tech, it didn't look fast. It didn't even sound fast. It wafted, glided, and purred like a Lexus, yet it could run 0 to 60 miles per hour in around 7.5 seconds, thanks to its lightweight frame and smart gearing. Quiet, fast, efficient. Nobody knew what hit them, but all that innovation came with a price. The engine was complex and didn't love being maintained by the average shop. And with Mazda never fully explaining what the Miller cycle was, the public didn't exactly line up to buy it. Sales lagged. The experiment faded. Still, today, it's a goldmine for those who want uniqueness without screaming about it. It's weird, it's elegant, and it'll spook you if you try to race it off a light. And if you're into obscure engineering brilliance like this, you'll love what's still to come. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the rest of these forgotten beasts, because the next one, it's got rally blood and a poker face. Number 8, Subaru Legacy B4 RSK BE5. It looked like a car your uncle would buy new, drive for 20 years and never once push past the speed limit. 4 doors, plain silver paint, and 0 visual drama. But hiding beneath that middle manager vibe was a machine that could throw hands with proper performance cars and win. This was the Subaru Legacy B4 RSK BE5. A name that sounds more like a printer model than a performance sedan. But don't let that fool you. Under its modest hood sat a twin turbocharged 2.0-liter EJ20H Flat 4, pushing out 276 horsepower and 268 pound-feet of torque, sent to all 4 wheels through Subaru's legendary symmetrical AWD system. With a crisp 5-speed manual available, it could launch to 60 miles per hour in around 5.7 seconds in a family car. But this wasn't just fast in a straight line. The B4 RSK was agile, planted, and shockingly responsive. It had real rally DNA baked into its chassis, refined enough for daily driving, but brutal when asked to perform. And the sequential twin-turbo setup, it delivered low-end torque and high RPM pull in a way that made it feel far larger than 2.0 liters. Still, it had quirks. That twin-turbo system was complex, and the transition between the primary and secondary turbo wasn't exactly seamless, what many called the turbo dip. And unless you were deep into the JDM scene, the Legacy name didn't scream performance. So here's the question. Can a car look this safe and still earn street cred? Or does it need wings and vents to be taken seriously? Drop a comment and let me know. Next up, we're not just going fast. We're talking drift lore status. And yet, most people still think it's just a boring commuter from the 90s. Number 7. Toyota Chaser Tourer V JZX 100. If you spotted one of these rolling up quietly at a traffic light, you'd probably dismiss it as just another 90s Toyota built for long commutes and not much else. The design? Boxy, conservative, barely a curve in sight, but under that tame